Hello, welcome back aboard a chilly USS Cod. I can't wait for spring. I'm Paul Ferrace, director of the USS Cod Submarine Memorial, and we're back today with something very important: survival under attack. But first, remember, hit the like, subscribe button, notification, but definitely that like button so that we can spread our message throughout. It helps other people find us. As you all know, the main weapon to kill a submarine in World War II are depth charges. And depth charges are really scary weapons. They're basically underwater bombs that have a pressure sensor. You launch them off the side of a ship, preset to explode at the depth you think the submarine is hiding at. When the ash can, as they were often called, when it reaches that depth, the detonator, or depthinator, as it was called in the U.S. Depth charge world, senses the pressure. It detonates the warhead or the explosives, and you have a big, tremendous explosion. That shock wave radiates out. It creates a giant bubble of gas. Now, that is what we want to talk about. The shock wave propagating out can do a lot of damage. It had to occur within about 20 feet of the pressure hull of a submarine to get a definite kill. So outside of 20 feet, you may loosen their fillings. You'll certainly smash light bulbs and dishes and create all kinds of havoc and probably cause them to need to wash their skivvies. But you might not get a definite kill. Well, in addition to that explosive shockwave going out, we discovered once we got into actually experiencing a lot of enemy depth charges, that the giant gas bubble creates a vacuum as it rises to the surface, and we'll have some nice pictures to you look at of just what I'm talking about, what happens when that gas bubble reaches the surface. It's a tremendous explosion. But what we discovered from the boats that were getting back was that that suction was actually pulling the upper hatch off its mounts. That's scary. It caused a lot of flooding and problems, but the U.S. Navy was always incorporating battle lessons learned. So throughout the war, every time something was identified as a weak point, generally the Navy, unlike the torpedoes, the Navy addressed it and improved the boats, increasing their survivability. Now, one of the things done to increase your survivability under depth charge attack was to add depth charge dogs. Now, we're going to talk about those in a minute, but they also, the second thing that they added were called doubler plates, or doublers. And behind me, this is the after battery hatch. We're in the cruise mess. This flange with all these bolt holes here was something that was added late in the war to increase survivability. Basically, what they did was they added a 9/16" steel plate that bolted in with every one of these bolts, and it had a smaller hatch that was rather difficult to open, but could be opened so you could use the hatch. You weren't getting up in a hurry, and let's face it, I don't think I'm getting through the smaller hatch, and Evan's going to insert a nice picture of the doubler that was bolted here. It's currently below my feet in the after battery, which is devoid of batteries. So it's a wonderful storage space. And the Navy, when they took the batteries out during mothballing, placed the doubler down in that space so it could be used. So this just doubled the protective capability of that upper hatch. If that is pulled off its flange by the suction of a depth charge, this doubler plate is going to maintain watertight integrity in the boat. I just, can't imagine having, you probably had to have 4 or 5 sailors holding this thing up while you put the many nuts and bolts through that to hold that. So this was done at the after battery hatch. It was done at the hatch in the after torpedo room, and also in our after engine room. They all have escape trunk barrels, if you will. It wasn't done in the forward torpedo room because your escape trunk in essence, already has a double protective system. You have the upper hatch on the side door, and you have the bottom door on the trunk. In the conning tower, it's already kind of cramped, and my thinking is they added the depth charge dogs up there to really hold that down, and we're going to talk about that very next in a minute. But so the conning tower hatch, that had extra these dogs or clamps, so we're going to look at those in a minute. So yeah, that was done on cod. And the interesting thing is, I thought it was a universal thing, but in looking at pictures of our sister subs, for instance, Cobia, hey, Tim, Paul, and Karen, I noticed some of your hatches on Cobia don't have the cleats or pad eyes for the dogs. So how is it you guys made it through the war without that additional level of security? I have to go back and look at drum and silver size. But hey, you guys, chime in. Also, if you're aboard Pampanito, Aaron, or our friends on Bakuna, let us know what you guys have. If you had that. Now, I would imagine Bakuna certainly would have those because she stayed in and was guppy-ized. But anyway, we're going to leave here, and we're going to go to the after engine room, and we're going to look at a depth charge dog. Okay, here we are back in Cod's lovely after engine room, and here again is the flange for that doubler, and bolted to the bulkhead is the matching doubler plate for this right here, and there's that center hatchway, which, you know, maybe I could squeeze through there, but one more donut and it might be questionable. But we're going to go up and look at the depth charge dogs, but I'm going to stay on the ladder, and I'm going to send Evan out in the bitter February cold while I stay in the trunk. So, Evan, get topside. Okay, here we are, topside. It's not so bad. Quit chattering your teeth, Evan. By the way, blue skin, it looks good on you. Well, anyway, this is the standard Fleet Submarine hatch, and as built, and hopefully I'll be able to dig into my archives and give Evan a picture to insert, what the hatch dish looks like before the modification. But these are the cleats or pad eyes for the depth charge dogs. Okay, now generally hatches got two of them. Here's your hold down hinge side. These are the three spuds that would normally hold the hatch down against the inner flange here. But again, that explosive suction could compromise these. So here are two additional hold downs. Now, we're using one for our high security lock system, and if you're a fleet sub and you have this, I strongly recommend this as a great way to secure your hatches. All of them except the ones that you're going to need to enter to get the boat open. But anyway, so initially it's a smooth dish without these. These are added so that they can take a depth charge dog. Now, Evan, you're going to have to get in close to me, and I'm going to try to lift this up to the limit of it's got a little bit of travel. This is a depth charge dog. Now, this piece right here fits between these two plates right here, and this spud or pin goes through and locks it so that you have this additional, you get really in here, and I'll point out the two attach points here and here for the dogs. Okay, this is a depth charge dog. It's attached. It has a sliding ability, and there's one over there. Sadly, we're missing a lot of these. We're glad we have this one. And of course, this fits up in here. Two of them. And those would be locked when you're in combat to really hold down that hatch so that, God forbid, you get a close hit and you get that suction force. You're not going to have your hatch torn off its mounts. Up in the conning tower, we have a similar set of these. for the hatch up to the bridge. And of course the after torpedo room hatch again has similar depth charge dogs. And of course that was done to increase survivability of the fleet sub under attack. So hopefully you found that somewhat interesting. Remember to join us every week for more interesting content. Hopefully you find it interesting. And I think Evan seems to be losing all sense of touch and feel because of he's sitting on an ice cold deck. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon back aboard. Thanks.